If you're thinking about buying or selling a home here in Sarasota, or even if you're just trying to get an idea of where this market is headed, the March 2026 numbers just came out, and honestly, there are a few things in there that are a little surprising. So stick with me for the next few minutes because I'm going to walk you through all of it. Real quick though, before we dive in, I'm Adam Waxler, and I've been helping people buy and sell homes here in Sarasota County for nearly 20 years. If you'd like my help, the best way to reach me is simply call or text me at 941-465-9206, or just click one of the links in the description to get in touch. Okay, so every month I go through the real estate stats for Sarasota County, and what I'm looking for are the trends. Things that tell us not just what happened last month, but where this market is actually heading. And March 2026 is an interesting one, because on the surface, you've got what looks like a strong market. Inventory is shrinking, and sales are rising. And normally when you see those two things together, you'd expect prices to be spiking. But that's not what's happening here. What we're really seeing is a market that's becoming more balanced and more strategic. What's really changing right now isn't just the numbers, it's how buyers are approaching the process. So today, I'm going to walk you through the 4 trends I'm seeing in the numbers right now. Let's start with inventory. For single-family homes in Sarasota County, we're sitting at a 4.8-month supply. That's down over 30% from where we were a year ago. To put that in context, the balanced market is generally considered to be around 6 months of supply, so we're slightly below that. Condos are a little different. Condo inventory came down over 16% and is now sitting at an 8.1-month supply. Now 8 months is considered a buyer's market, but not drastically, and it is moving in the same direction as single-family homes, meaning it's tightening. So while inventory has gone down over the last year for both single-family homes and condos, both segments are still fairly close to balanced market territory, meaning not overwhelmingly a buyer's market or a seller's market. But again, it is tightening. The second trend is sales activity, and this one is really clear. Demand in Sarasota is still very much alive. Single-family home sales increased almost 9% compared to March of last year. That's a solid, healthy jump. But the real standout number is in the condo market. Condo sales were up over 40% year over year. Now that's a significant increase. So yes, the demand is still very much there. But it's a different kind of demand than what we saw a few years ago. What I'm seeing and what the numbers confirm is that while there's a lot of buyer activity, the buyers are definitely more disciplined. They're doing their homework, they're comparing properties, they're negotiating terms, and they're moving when they find the right opportunity, not just any opportunity. The third trend is pricing, and this is where things get a little interesting because you've got less inventory and you've got rising sales, but yet prices haven't spiked the way you'd expect. Yes, the median sales price for both single-family homes and condos went up since last year, but only between 3 to 4%. Those are modest, steady increases, not dramatic jumps, especially when you consider how strong sales activity has been. Again, I think this tells us something about today's buyers. They're informed, they're doing their research, and they're simply not willing to overpay, even in a market where supply is getting tighter. That's why the sellers who are finding success today are the ones who are pricing their homes correctly from day one. The sellers who are struggling are the ones who price their home too high hoping someone will just pay it. And what they get instead is longer time on the market and less leverage to negotiate. Bottom line, price it right. That is the single most important thing a seller can do in this market. The last trend I'm going to talk about is days on the market. For single-family homes, we're averaging about 49 days to go under contract and roughly 88 days to close. For condos, it's a bit longer, around 65 days to contract and just over 100 days to close. Both represent noticeable increases compared to last year. For buyers, that extra time works in your favor. You have more breathing room, more time to search, more time to ask questions, and more time to negotiate than you did a year ago. For sellers, the message is clear. Your first 30 days on the market are your most powerful. That's when you have the most buyer attention, the most momentum, the most leverage. If you price your home correctly and market it well coming out of the gate, you don't have to worry about these numbers. But if you start too high and then have to chase the market down with price reductions, you lose that leverage. And that's a very difficult thing to get back. All right, so to quickly recap, the Sarasota market is showing 4 clear trends. Inventory is tightening, sales are rising, prices are holding steady, and buyers are taking a more deliberate strategic approach. It is a relatively balanced market, and the people who come into it prepared on both sides are the ones who come out ahead. Also, and this is really, really important, what I've shared with you today is county-wide data. It's a great starting point, but it's just a starting point. What's happening in one neighborhood in Sarasota can look completely different from what's happening just 2 miles away. That hyper-local perspective, that's where the real insight is. So, if you'd like to talk about what's happening in your specific neighborhood or how all of this applies to your specific situation, I'm always happy to help. You can call or text me directly at 941-465-9206. No pressure, just a conversation. Finally, if you found this video helpful, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.